midnight drearies.
It was a dark and stormy night, and John was alone in his small apartment. He had always been fascinated by creepypasta stories, and he loved nothing more than to scare himself silly with tales of the supernatural and the unknown. But tonight was different. As John sat in front of his computer, scrolling through the latest creepypasta stories, he felt a strange sense of unease. It was like something was watching him, something dark and malevolent that wanted to consume him. He tried to shake off the feeling, but it only grew stronger. As the wind howled outside, John felt like he was being pulled into another world, a world of darkness and terror. Suddenly, his computer screen went blank. John tried to restart it, but it wouldn't turn on. He was starting to get scared now. He had always been a bit of a skeptic, but the things that were happening to him now defied explanation. Just then, there was a knock on the door. John hesitated for a moment, but then he got up and went to answer it. Standing on his doorstep was a strange figure. It was a tall, thin man with pale skin and dark eyes. He was dressed in a long black coat, and he had a sinister smile on his face. "Hello, John," the man said. "I've come to tell you a story." John tried to shut the door, but the man was too quick. He pushed his way into the apartment, and John stumbled back, tripping over a chair. The man sat down in front of John, and he began to speak. He told John a story that was so horrifying, so twisted and dark, that John felt like he was going to be sick. It was a story about a group of travelers who had stumbled upon a deserted town in the middle of nowhere. It was a ghost town, but it was also haunted by something dark and malevolent. As the man spoke, John felt like he was living the story. He could feel the cold wind on his face, and he could smell the musty scent of the abandoned buildings. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the story ended. The man stood up and walked to the door. "I'll be seeing you, John," he said, and then he was gone. John was left alone in his apartment, trembling with fear. He knew that what he had just experienced was real, that the man who had visited him was something other than human. And as the night wore on, John realized that the story he had just heard was only the beginning. There were other stories out there, stories that were even more terrifying, more twisted and dark than anything he had ever imagined. And now, John was a part of them. He had entered a world of darkness and terror, a world where anything was possible, and where the line between reality and fiction was blurred beyond recognition. As he sat alone in his apartment, John knew that he would never be the same again. The creepypasta stories he had loved so much had become his reality, and there was no going back.